Greetings. In this tutorial we are going to focus on drawing, and we're going to focus on a couple tools: the pencil tool, the brush tool, the eraser tool, and we'll probably throw in a little bit about the paint bucket as well. So we're going to start with the pencil tool. This tool basically draws an outline of a shape. The brush tool is what fills in different shapes, as well as the paint bucket, and then of course the eraser tool erases whatever you've drawn. So the pencil tool is a fairly simple tool. I can draw straight lines, and you'll notice that it actually went into an exact rectangle. I can draw circles, and you'll notice that it went to a perfect oval. There are three basic settings on this pencil tool, and that's why the shape is changing. There's straighten, smooth, and ink. So the ink tool will pretty much leave the shape sort of as is. It won't change it a whole lot. It'll keep it the same basic shape with some rough edges if that's what you drew. The smooth tool will smooth out the shape so the lines are all fairly smooth, there's curves to it, and the straighten tool will allow you to draw either a perfect circle, an oval, a rectangle, as long as you're close, or if you're really good, a perfect square. Close enough. So that's basically the pencil tool. If you want to change the color, you can click on this button here, choose your color, draw your line. If you want to change the size of the color, you can go up here into your properties palette. You can also change the color there, but you can also increase what's called the stroke or the outline. And so when I draw, the line is thicker. So that's in the properties palette. I can change the style. If I click on this arrow here, it doesn't seem to want to open. I can change the style of the line. There it goes. So dotted, ragged, stippled, sorry. And you'll get a different looking line, of course, when you draw that. You have cap and join as well, and we'll take a look at those a little bit later on. But that's basically how lines connect and what it looks like at the corners. So I'm just going to change this back to solid. And I'm going to delete what I've drawn so far. So I'm going to do Control-Alt and delete. And I'm just going to draw a basic shape so I can show you the brush tool. So we'll just go with this rectangle here. The brush tool is what essentially draws inside a shape. So you've got more settings with the brush tool. I can choose a different style of brush. So if I want a square brush, because I'm drawing inside a square, I can do that. I can change my size. Of course, I can change the color, but this time, instead of using the pencil color or the stroke color, I'm going to use the fill color, which is by the paint bucket. So I'll choose a different color. And then you have this menu here, which gives you 5 options for painting: normal, fill, behind, select, selection, and paint inside. So paint normal will just do that. It'll paint and cover up whatever else you've painted. If I paint fills, what it'll do is only paint fill colors. It will not replace my stroke line, which is drawn with the pencil. It'll go on either side, but it will not cover up my stroke line. So that's kind of a handy feature. The paint behind, kind of the same thing in a sense, but whatever I paint, it will go in behind. So if I now go and change my color and I paint behind, the blue will go behind not just the green, but the red as well. So that's the difference between the two. Paint fills will just paint everywhere except the line. Paint behind will paint behind both the line color and the fill color. Paint selection. What we do here is we select something. So I click on it with my black arrow. I go back to my brush tool and I choose paint selection. And now, if I'm going to change my color, I paint, and it will only keep the paint on what I selected. Everything else will stay the same. So that's a really handy tool. And then the last one, paint inside. It's kind of the old breaking the kindergarten rule trick here. If I only want to paint inside, I'm just going to back up here, my selection, and stay inside the lines. If I'm reasonably careful, I should be able to paint inside this line, even if I accidentally cross it. It's a little finicky, but it does normally work. It will paint inside and leave the line. So even though I cross over a little bit, it will not paint outside the line. Now if I do a lot, or if I do something like this where I'm outside and I just barely cross the line there, it will paint outside. It's assuming I don't want to go inside. So that's those 5 settings. They're fairly handy. Just a couple other little features here. I've got a switch. So if I want to switch the line color and the fill color, I can click on this button. If I want to reset it to black and white, I can click on that button. The paint bucket, fairly simple tool. I click on that, I choose my color, I click, and it will fill in my outline shape with color. You'll notice that it only does the fill colors. I cannot click on this green line and fill that in with color as well, because the paint bucket works with the brush tool or the fill color. My eraser does just that. I can choose different sizes, different shapes, and I can erase. I also have the same settings here: paint normal, paint fills, erase lines, or erase fills. So if I only want to erase the green line, I can do that. If I only want to erase the fill color, I can do that. So it'll keep the line. And I can do the same with selected fills, and I can erase inside. So I'll erase the color, and it'll only go inside, like that. Now that one's a little finicky. I have to be pretty careful not to go too far outside the line, or it will erase a bit of the line. So it's not perfect, but it works fairly well. So those are some basic drawing tools. We have the pencil, the brush, the paint bucket, and the eraser. In the next one, we'll look at a few of the other tools. We'll focus on some of the selection tools, the transform tool, and we'll also look at the pen tool and a couple other ones, the line tool, the shapes.